You ever get one of those bad feelings whenever you listen to singles off of an upcoming record where basically all that you're thinking is, man, I hope the rest of the album is good. You say that because the single's alright, but you want the rest of the stuff to be great. That way you have a fantastic experience in front of you. But have you ever listened to, Kaleidoscope and Bastards by Machine Head and just thought to yourself, man, I hope this album is serviceable, listenable, tolerable. We're talking about Catharsis in case you haven't figured it out by now, in case you forgot what you just clicked on, because of blackouts and solar flares and Rob Flynn comments on Facebook or, Blabbermouth. This is an album that has come after a stretch of discs that have kind of been declining in quality, but have at least been a nice sort of second wave or second coming of Machine Head's career. Ever since albums such as Supercharger or The Burning Red seemed to derail them, it didn't seem like they were going to come back, and then they did, and they came back in a big way with The Blackening, Unto the Locust, and it's just been kind of a nice little high for him. But it feels like after Dime Bash a couple years ago, the whole thing with Phil Anselmo kind of broke Rob's brain, because things recently have been kind of weird. And then you listen to tracks like Bastards and Kaleidoscope, and you start to wonder, that old song, where is Rob's mind? I know, it's where is my mind, but we have to make this, focused. So this album has a lot to kind of ride up. Oh my god! 15 tracks? 74 minutes? Oh god, this is not good. This is an experience. That's all I'm going to say. This is an album that needed to really fly high and show that, aside from all of the off-the-court activity, that Rob Flynn still was extremely focused. And that is something where I will spoiler alert y'all by saying he failed. He failed magnificently. He failed in ways where there are adjectives to, imply the grandeur of the failure that have not been invented yet. And it's insane. First of all, one of the very first failures occurs on the first track, which is entitled Volatile, which is a decent enough opener if you like Slipknot. Because this definitely feels like it's playing and has opened the Slipknot playbook and decided to, copy their homework a little bit. Rob apparently has decided that he really, really misses nu metal, and that Slipknot not releasing an album in 3 years or however long it's been is a really, really bad thing, because that is what Volatile sounds like. It sounds like Machine Head's sort of rip-off version of Slipknot, or what some other people call Stone Sour. But no, that's just a joke. But this is not a joke. This song is very real, and this song is very much a kind of an indicator that the rest of this album is not going to be all that different from Kaleidoscope and Bastards. This is not something, all of those bad dreams that you were having after listening to Bastards and Kaleidoscope are slowly starting to feel like perhaps they are coming true. After you heard the sort of ice cream jingles of Bastards or the patty cake version of Kaleidoscope, you're just all of a sudden starting to get very scared. The hair on your arm is starting to raise up a little bit, but not because you're enjoying yourself, but instead out of fear that this album is going to be just as bad as it seems like it was heading toward. Catharsis is the second track. It's a 6-minute cut, and that's where we encounter problem number 2. Something has happened with Rob's clean vocals. It's almost as though somebody has grabbed onto his balls and is just squeezing ever so, ever so much every single time he tries to utter something clean, where it just comes off as very labored or very soft. Either that or it doesn't sound like Rob has a lot of confidence with these vocals. Instead, it sounds very much like this is an experiment. Rob knows that it's an experiment, or it's, how he feels, but he doesn't feel very confident about it. He doesn't feel like he has a lot of that oomph behind it, and we know that Machine Head has clean vocals that are very strong and very powerful. They're not all just about the raspy, graspy, rah lyrics. No, we know that he has that clean register, and the fact that this is not present here, in fact, it feels extremely forced and really kind of weak. It feels submissive, and granted, the idea of catharsis and perhaps what he's trying to go for with the whole metaphor of we have been whipped and bled dry in America as blah, 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 blah. Maybe that's the point. It's a really bad point if it is the point. If not, it just sucks. And then we get to Beyond the Pale and into California Bleed. What in the world did I just listen to? What in the world is going on? And then we get into Triple Beam and Rob Raps, and it makes you long for Vanilla Ice to come back. And we're not talking Ice Ice Baby or, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles song from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles to Vanilla Ice. No, we're talking about Vanilla Ice from the mid-90s, where he tried to reinvent himself. You know, the too cold Vanilla Ice, where everything sounded awful, and he tried to blend, you know, hard rock music, or grunge music, or heavy metal music, or mariachi music. Who the hell knows? Who the hell cares? That you want him back. You want him back. You remember that guy in your 9th grade class that thought he was a rapper, was white as snow, and was the worst thing since, you know, Illa the Vinnie Manzanas? You want that guy back. You want him rapping on this album. You want him to get a deal, like a 7-album deal. Do you miss Little Pump? You want him to write and, you know, record this. It would probably be a lot better. It probably would be a lot better. This is just really, really bad, and it comes off as a dude from the suburbs who's almost 50, who's trying to get in with the cool kids, either that or trying to tell a message, because at some points this song that really feels like a sad, sad story, almost like Dare infested the studio and decided that Rob Flynn needed to be their new spokesperson. Then we get the Kaleidoscope and we get the Bastards. We know what's all going on there. And now we're only 7 tracks in. There's still 8 tracks left, and I'm just going to sum things up very, very simply. 7 of those 8 tracks, there's nothing worth saying. There really isn't, because they start to blend together then sound the same. They start to all really fuse as this sort of new metal meets a little bit of groove meets Rob Flynn having his balls in a vice for clean vocals and really kind of side-swiping other people's styles. Nothing here feels original. Nothing feels fresh. I don't get a great feeling from listening to any of these tracks, and we're going to get to that a little bit later. But usually whenever you listen to an album, something shines forth as a highlight. And the one track that I am specifically looking at, the one track that I am hoping is my salvation, is Heavy Lies the Crown, which is a near 9-minute long cut. It's the longest song on the album, and you know me, I like me some long songs. I've talked about that for years. What's the first 3 minutes of this track? What's going on with that? Is Rob trying to tell a spooky little story about Hollywood? Is he trying to tell a spooky little story about the Spider King, a serial killer? Or what is this? What's going on? Now the middle portion of this song, from about the 3.5-minute mark to 5 to 6 minutes in, not too bad. There's the highlight I was looking for. It's decent, it's serviceable, it's listenable, it has something to it, but the problem is that as a whole, this is 9 minutes that feel just as wasted as the 9 minutes that infest 2.5 of the previous songs on this album. It doesn't have that same, you know, real edge to it. Okay, it does have edge to it, but the wrong kind of edge, if you know what I'm saying. We're going with a meme word, edge. Hell, you'd rather have Adam Copeland write and release music. He'd probably be better at it right now than Machine Head, because this is trash. And you might as well just say this actually only has 14 tracks, because the 15th track, Eulogy, has a neat idea, but its execution is appalling. All Eulogy is the track Bastards. Yeah, it's just Bastards. It doesn't sound the same. It has a different, framework to it. There's a different song construction to it. It's told within the first person as opposed to the point of view of the first track, but it's terrible. It's 6.5 minutes where things feel very, it's being ground out through the teeth. It's being gnashed out. It's very soft. It's kind of hard to pick up on what exactly this song is the first time you listen to it. And it's not a memorable final cut. If you don't want to call that the final cut, Razorblade Smile isn't very memorable at all either. The only thing that it reminds you of is the title, Razorblade Smile. Sounds like something that should be handled by His Infernal Majesty, or one of those other bands. And didn't they have an album that had razor blades right there in the title? It was actually decent because it was for the first part of their career? I'm getting sidetracked here. Here's the bottom line. This is a 3 out of 30. I almost said 3 out of 20 or 3 out of 10. This is a 3 out of 30. This is 10%. This is incomplete. This is bad. I don't even want to claim that I listened to this album multiple times with the intention of constructing this review. I don't want to have this on my Media Goals 2018 list at position number whatever it is. To constantly look at me, stare at me, taunt me, laugh at me, and say, ha 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 ha, I made you listen to my record by releasing 2 shit singles. That's what it feels like. This feels like This is like the meme to end all memes, or the music to end all musics. This is an album that showcases that something drastic happened to Machine Head. Well, really just happened to Rob Flynn, and it infected the rest of Machine Head. We all may have to go to the hospital to get some sort of immunity. There has to be some sort of injection out there that could prevent this from perhaps infesting us, because we also know that it's infested a lot of people within this world. This feels like Rob Flynn has gone SJW metal. I said the words. It feels like he has gone to the place that we didn't want the place to become. And it is not a fun place. There's a lot of parody here, and it's not done tastefully. There's a lot of horrible lyricism here, and it's not done with very good points. There are slanders used here, which it's heavy metal, so I mean, should we be accepting toward it or not? If it was done tastefully, or if it was done in a place that felt like it belonged, I would say yes. But no, the way in which this is devised sounds like a 14-year-old. It's like Rob grew down and has read the newspaper and, is listening to Fox News and has decided to take a stand through his music and his lyricism, and it all just comes off as exceptionally juvenile, and it all really sounds exceptionally yawn-inducing. This is 74 minutes of my life, and I feel like I listened to maybe half of it the first time, and maybe 66% the second time, and then I forced myself the last time to suffer through all of it, and let me tell you something, never again. Never again. Never again. Remember how we, all talk about how bad Dream Theater's The Astonishing is? Some of us, because it was a really, really long album. It was 2.5 hours, and it just seemed like it went nowhere. I've listened to that like once ever since it was released. This is the new, this is it. This is the new one. This supersedes it. This makes The Astonishing look like a masterpiece. It makes Eludivinium and Sanus look like a god-tier album. And honestly, it kind of makes Lulu appear listenable, or at least worthy of another try. It really does. This just goes nowhere, has nothing, offers very little, even though the lyrical content would suggest that it has a lot to offer somebody. No. This is usually the part of the video where I recommend that you go and buy this album. No. Not going to do it. There's an Amazon page. There's a link down there. Don't use it to buy this album. I'll find you. I really will. I do want to know what you think about it, though. As if my words are not enough, I want to know the group think. Please, let me know your thoughts about Catharsis by Machine Head in the comments below. Onward to something better, please.